Welcome, 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 and welcome to the Leslie Nielsen Memorial Arena. And tonight we should have a great battle of fantastic animals. And I should have written it all down. Oh well, I was going to do a whole thing about ass boxing because yes, Bruce McDonald's is joining. Anyway, I'll do some thing, but I'll do that idea later. You're listening to Revolution Radio. I'm choking halfway through a comedy sketch, but hey, it's only recorded and everyone can share it. Big thank you to Why Not and the Y Files, which does sound like a chorus line, but that's still good. There's nothing wrong with that. And if you enjoyed, what are you doing, you stupid... If you enjoyed the last 2 hours, sorry, I'm producing myself, which does sound like a masturbation joke, but it's not. And please donate to the station for Studio A and B. A YOLO Row, hello, Mr. Rowe. And once you're at the website, please, once you've donated, we don't accept children. We do accept chickens. And give what you can in realistic terms. Pop into the swag, buy T-shirts and hats, which you can't wear outside because we're all in lockdown. But you can pop into the chat room and hang out with like-minded, like-hearted, and just liked people. I have been joined by our Central American correspondent, Bruce McDonald, our, I believe, East Coast correspondent from Jersey, where you know if you want a cup of coffee, it's got to be in the purple mug. John Z, or as they say in Canada, Zed, as well as the Viking. Gentlemen, begin. How are we all?
I would just like to make the first editorial correction. John Z actually lives in Staten Island, not New Jersey.
Yeah, why don't you give him my address too, so I can write a bullet in my head.
That's 412. Shut the crap up, Bruce McDonald Avenue.
He's holed up in a little cubby hole under the Statue of Liberty. He can only cook at night when the smoke is not visible.
Yeah. And he sits there during the day holding Lucille and rocking backwards and forwards going, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. Now, Lucille can either be a rifle or a guitar. It's up to you. Viking, how are you, my friend?
Here we go. I'm doing good, thank you. How's everybody else here? I got my coffee. Bad. I got my green drink. I got my coffee. I've got my tobacco. I'm all set, man. I'm rocking and rolling.
We're all set here.
There we go. I'll here.
Now that's either a rifle or a guitar. No, hopefully it's a can of a beverage.
Right. So, in the light of what's happening, what's on everyone's mind?
Oh, well, I'm taking the positive side of cabin fever. Someone tweeted this, and I added my own little joke. They tweeted, it's like, I went to this restaurant today called The Kitchen. You have to get your own ingredients and cook it yourself. I have no idea how this restaurant stays in business.
Wow, the restaurant called The Kitchen.
Yeah.
That's tough. That's tough.
So I went on a hike today to the letterbox. Boring. So boring.
Okay.
So yeah, it's interesting.
So there wasn't any hooligans on skateboards or bicycles. Nothing.
No. Not a thing.
You know, funny thing. You know, I've wondered while I was driving cross country back in the early 2000s, driving at 4 a.m. when there's nobody on the road, and I always kind of thought, I was like, is this what it would be like if everything just up and disappears? It's kind of weird. And, nowadays I feel like I'm living in the freaking Twilight Zone because there's nobody on the street and there's no cars anywhere. I'm like, what's going on?
Yeah, especially in the upper east of the coast that you live, where I think the population there could move into Australia, because Australia's only 25 million people. It's so funny when you've got racist morons here going, "Oh, Australia's full. There's too many people." It's like, leave the country. Really, leave the country. Go to London. Go to New York.
When you compare the size of Australia to any major population, even of a state or country, it's kind of mind blowing.
Oh yeah. It's like you got to do some social distancing, and these ranches have the size of a property size of Texas. I think we're doing that, Dave.
I mean, Mexico City has 24 million. In Mexico City.
Yeah, we could move into Mexico City.
Yeah, Mexico City is like the Wild West over there. It's just anything goes.
But I mean, that's the population of Australia, right?
Yeah, and London as well. So I know this will help the pandemic. We'll move Mexico City to London. I don't think the English would notice. And then London could move to Australia, and the Australians could all move to Mexico. They'll definitely notice. Why is everyone speaking Spanish?
Yeah.
I'm not an Aztec. What's going on?
You know what? It turns out, as me and Bruce found out earlier, translating English into Spanish could be as simple as putting an O at the end of a word.
Yes. Also, Spanish with an Australian accent is just highly offensive. El momento, por favor.
The O is masculine though. If you're a woman, you have to add an A. But generally, for everyone on this call, the O is fine.
Well, interesting enough, here in Australia, we sort of shorten words and turn them into slang, and it's either an O or an E. So we're halfway there. Like, here's a sentence. Try and figure out what this means. At Chrissy, we're going to Brizzy to take the kiddies up so we can give them some prezzies.
Well, you're taking the kids to go get some sort of reward. As to the rest of the sentence, I'm not sure.
We're going to Brisbane for Christmas so the children can get presents. You're off mic a little bit there, John.
I said I was half right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you heard a childlike thing. So my leader went on television and flapped his gums, and the United States.
Your leader, Monty. Your leader.
Yeah. Well, fortunately, voting is compulsory in this country, allegedly. Anyone, G'day ASIO. That was one of the ideas I could call Planet Collingwood, was G'day ASIO, but I don't think anyone outside of Australia would get the joke. The 7 people that do listen here. Scott Morrison came out and said they're doing like the lockdown and international travel's gone. We're actually shutting now, as we're talking about space. Our state borders are actually being shut down, and one of the states is called Western Australia. I wonder how they came up with that name, but that's a third of the landmass, and that's huge. Don't come across here. So
isn't Morrison like the family name of like a major cigarette company or something?
What?
That me? Am I crazy? Anyone?
What is?
Morrison.
Morrison. Oh, maybe. Sounds like a beer.
I feel like it has something to do with tobacco. Anyway, moving on.
Yeah. And I something for whatever reason, because I realized I'm actually broadcasting on an American station, so I should like take notice of the United States. President Trump.
Don't take notice of us. Just do your own thing. You'll be fine. Just do your own thing. You'll be fine, bro.
I mean, yeah, you don't notice the other 198 countries unless you're bringing it freedom.
Oh, yes, freedom. Yeah, we do that. We do that with extreme prejudice, by the way.
I know. It's like, the question is, how did your natural resource get into their country? It's very understanding.
This is a good question.
Yeah, I know. It's like Iran. They're starting a war. I mean, look at where they put their country to all your military bases. They really should have thought ahead. Man. So I did watch the 40-minute.
I'm choking on my Starburst.
So the only thing that comes up is Philip Morris is a tobacco company. Philip Morris. There's no Morrison.
Oh, that's right. Yes. Philip Morris is a major one that I think the Australian government has a third their shares in there, so they keep putting up the price of cigarettes. But it's your choice if you want to stop smoking. Either way, through taxes and everything. So, here in Victoria, and they're all mixing together, but the lockdowns are moving forward. Here in Victoria, anyway, elective surgery has been put on hold unless it's warranted. type 1 and type 2 type stuff.
Unless you've crashed in some sort of crazy accident, you're not getting surgery.
Basically, yeah, and that's to make way for the coronavirus affected. It's interesting today. Interesting is today that there's people saying, "Oh, it's a fake virus. There's no virus." Well, the Victorian cases went from 55 to 416. I think it's 60.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's pretty good for fake. Someone's those crisis actors are getting more work than me. That's the problem here, ladies and gentlemen.
I mean, where do they get the employees, man? Speaking of crisis actors and hospitals, pretty funny thing going on over here in New York since the National Guard cannot carry arms into New York City proper. Don't ask me why. Anyway, so they're starting to scout out all of the locations, like the shut down colleges, the malls, all that stuff for quote unquote emergency hospitals.
Oh yeah, 466 cases here in Victoria today. So it jumped 410 cases, and it's this is where I meet my cabin fever and giggling. It's I've gone from helping to observing, and now I'm going from observing to shit stirring, where I'm just going to poke fun at everything because that's how I deal with reality now. I'm going to make fun of it, but in a positive way for the betterment of humanity. Hopefully.
They have these.
Let's be rude. Go ahead.
They have these huge hospital boats that are being sent to New York and the LA area. Now, there's some speculation that these actually are not hospital boats, but they're going to be detainment centers. That's really interesting. That they could be in the guise of hospital boats.
It's the same thing at that point.
It comes down to intent.
I'm saying they could have been modified for lockdown.
Yeah.
Because it says, there's a lot of scuttlebutt right now that on the 31st, there's supposed to be, as far as the cubism, as Jacker likes to call it, we're in the middle of a 7-day, what you call a startup or tune-up or, just, poise.
Yeah.
And then the 31st to the 9th is going to be 10 days. That's supposed to be when the actual shutdown is supposed to occur, is on the 31st. So what this means is that basically you're going to have what's called credit freeze on the banks, and the internet might go dark. And this is a great time if you're still putting off stocking up food. This is still a time to do it, because there may be this period from which there's going to be they're going to be rounding up these so-called profiled sealed indictments, and also possibly even switching over to the QFS system. And apparently in the next 2 weeks, there's going to be a major profiled individual going to be brought to light. So this is basically what's been happening and what's the latest on the cubism front.
So 2 things there. If no one hears from me in a month, it means I'm with some old friends, and that's not good. In Viking, in your neck of the woods, have you noticed the dramatic drop in gas prices? Because I've been hearing that it's been happening over in certain portions of the country, and I haven't noticed it over here, and that kind of concerns me for a number of different reasons.
No, there's no drop in gas prices. The only thing I've heard is that Tennessee, there's stations that drop it down to 99 cents, and that's exactly where fair market value is. If you're looking at the fact that the barrels of oil we're trading is for as high as $74 a barrel 12 months ago, 18 months ago, and then they're down to $24 a barrel. Gasoline at $3.99 should be $1.33, right? I mean, it's just like, I mean, it should be. In which case, then transportation costs would drop. In which case, the spontaneous delivery of food should be not as much. I mean, if they played this right, and really brought gas to fair market value, that in itself would create a billions of dollars in liquidity for people to then stimulate the market. And that alone, let alone everything else that they're talking about. I mean, forget the $1,000, and that could bring in billions right there just by bringing gas at the pumps to fair market value.
Well, just think about all the gamblers that can't gamble. So, I mean, they're going to freak out. It's like, I've stopped gambling and I've got all this money. It's just like, of course, they'll probably then go, I've got all this money, I should bet on something. However, we're in a moment of change. Now,
the mafia stores are always open to gambling.
Oh, yeah. I know a guy, eh? Now, last night, Jacker came on and was referring to the press conference yesterday with, I've gone blank, Donald Trump. And Donald the Don said it's over soon. Now, soon could be 18 years. We don't know what time frame. He's hoping for Easter Sunday, which is the 12th. Which is about 2.5 weeks away. I say to him, yeah, good luck with that.
That's not enough time.
It's flipping from he's caring for his citizens, and now it's oh crap, I've got to save the economy. Interesting enough, both leaders, the Prime Minister here and the President there, basically said, there's two crises at the moment. There's the health crisis as well as the economic crisis. And I'm wondering, I'm putting on my aluminum hat because they don't make it out of tin, and also that attracts frequencies. Because if you remember, we used to have foil on our TV ears. No one thinks of these things. If they've been the secret network behind the thing, maybe the central banks, but they've worded up the leaders a bit of like, yeah, we need to sort of get some stability going. Because here, it's very funny where you're going to get a stimulus package and you're going to get a certain amount of money. Here in Australia, if you're on welfare benefits, $750, which is probably about $6 American. In the American, you get $1,000, but you're in lockdown. So unless you buy online, it's not. It's kind of weird. And also, it's interesting. I'm not sure. I think are schools being closed in the United States because this whole thing of like you have to stay away from people. You got a social distance. You need to be up 4 meters. But we're going to cram all the children into one room with a teacher, and hope for the best.
Yeah. As far as I know, they're shutting down over here.
Yeah.
I mean, everything's shut down.
Same here.
Yeah.
If you can. If you can walk into a place that can hold more than a couple hundred people, it's shut down at this point.
Yeah, here in Australia, it was like 3 days ago, over 500 in an outdoor area or 100 people indoor. And so now it's down to restaurants. They can do takeaway, but can't have, it could be, how's this? Weddings, you can have 5 people. That includes the celebrant and the 2 people getting married. So you get a witness each. And funerals is 10 people. And I don't think, I'm sure that doesn't include the person being buried.
Yeah. Interesting thing. Hopefully it'll happen over there at some point, but they've already shut down restaurants and bars open to the public. However, bars and restaurants can deliver alcohol to your house now. So hopefully that'll be a thing over there in Australia.
Well, we like our alcohol, so yes, it better bloody be. But the restaurants are shut down. Where like Victoria have, there's over 1,000 cases in New South Wales. We've only had 8 deaths. However, you can see how quickly it's been transmitted or transmitted. Like everyone's getting it. And the numbers of what we were told, say, just even February, where it's 3% or 2% mortality rate. Yeah, but if one bed and 4,000 people need it, it's not going to end well.
Yeah. Something pretty odd today. I saw something pretty odd. I went to the store earlier, picking up some drinks and some food and whatever, and there was a car in front of me getting out. And I noticed that they all had, the surgical mask on. And I'm like, all right, I can kind of see where you're going with this. But the thing that I noticed that really kind of concerned me is that none of them had gloves on. And so I'm sitting here thinking to myself right before I'm going to get out of the car and get into the store, well, the hell's the purpose of putting on freaking surgical mask, which really isn't going to protect you to begin with, and not have gloves on. Because my main concern going into any store would be physical contact. What the hell are these people on? What's in the water, Monty? Someone tell me.
Fluoride. You get that fluoride stare. Viking, I think you wanted to share something.
Well, there's a strip club in Portland that had a bar cafe pub kind of set up, and so what they did was they took all the strippers and they did a food to go service, and you could call up and order, your chicken fingers or your fries or your chili, and they'll deliver it to your door. The strippers will deliver it to your door for tips. And I can imagine if you wanted like a little private lap dance, they probably would go for it, But I thought that was pretty. I thought that was pretty. That's pretty ingenious.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, they have to earn money somewhere.
Not only do you keep your business alive, but you keep your strippers paid.
Yep. And also, some of those girls in hazmat suits are still sexy. So I'll let that image go into a lap dance wearing a hazmat suit.
Yes. If you've you obviously have not been in a mop suit for more than 5 hours. Anyone who gets out of a mop suit, including a gas mask of 5 hours, they don't look sexy no matter who they are. They especially don't smell it.
Well, yeah. Also, that's just like in your line of work, that's not standing around playing lab. You would actually have to do combat-y things, where like the running and the jumping
there's a couple YouTube channels that are talking about it, like how the military is having to wear these gas masks now, and some of them even come equipped with a not a loudspeaker, but something to amplify your voice. Yeah. And if you're running around with the gas mask on, and even just a body armor and your gun, you can't see crap. And I guarantee you more people have been taken out at this point through twisted ankles and broken ankles than anything that the coronavirus could do.
Yeah, just the image that I'm getting in my head is like those late 80s heavy metal album covers. Yeah. Megadeth and Sodom and all those bands of like, oh well, yeah. Someone's actually selling a coronavirus T-shirt, but the logo's done like a black metal logo. It looks really good, but it's a little bit on the nose comedic wise. So yeah, that's what. Now, Bruce, if you're still on board, how's your mountain? Are you seeing anything like, or you just you're watching the outside world going, you're funny?
The latter, watching the outside world and going, you're funny.
Yeah, I thought so.
And nothing really changes up here. I mean, mind you, I haven't been down to town since things got really out of control. I haven't been to town since the beginning of March. We have everything we need up here. We don't need to go to town. I have to pay my internet bill on the 17th of every month, and that's it. So I don't know. I hear it's pretty hairy down in the towns. There's police everywhere, and the major cities are shut down. You can't fly into Costa Rica right now, and so tourism is a big part of the economy. So, so it's going to get really tight here, right? Like when people run out of money, there's going to be like a lot of crazy stuff, but not so much up here on the mountain because everybody's got their own food here. We live differently. Like it's not just that I'm in a foreign country. I'm in a part of that foreign country where people live, aside from electricity and TVs and stuff and cell phones, people are still living the way they did 100 years ago. So nothing really changes. I'm not joking. Let me just give you one little fact. Half my neighbors cook with firewood. The other half cook with propane. Rosemary and I, we cook with propane. But when we make a big pot of beans, we have a special stove I made out of cinder blocks. And we do it there just with firewood because it takes about 3 or 4 hours to cook a nice big pot of beans properly. And everything just goes on as normal here, right? It's really amazing. The only thing we really need are rice and beans. And all our fruits and vegetables are here, and nobody's losing weight, and it's all good. It's all good. looking at the world through my black mirror, my computer, it just, oh my God, I can't really understand it. You can't understand it unless you're participating in it. I talk to my son almost every day. He tells me what's going on in Toronto, but I mean, I can't understand it. You guys have to tell me. I mean, Australia, Melbourne would be bad. Staten Island would
Not
really
really.
be really bad.
No, actually, I was watching some newscasting from the ABC, the Australian Broadcasting Corporation, and they through to a gentleman doing his Victorian report, and he was actually outside like a farmers market type thing, a public market, and there's just people wandering around. It looked like a normal thing. What he was talking about is like there's harsh reality. They want to put. So there's a flip of like you could fall into the trap of believe everything that the doctors and the media and the politicians are saying, and we're all going to die, or you can leave your house for essentials and notice that it just seems like a Sunday. As a hermit, I don't know what everyone's worried about because like I hardly ever leave my house at all. But I can see like you don't have to move to Central America. You can live off the land in the United States, like the Ozarks, or here in Australia, where you can live on a farm and it's like, get the hell off my lawn, Dad. That's 8 miles away. I'm just making sure. So it's country people, they don't, because there is so much space. When a city person sort of stand near them, they feel slightly uncomfortable because they're used to having, dare I say, their energy field incumbent because it spreads out. But if you put them on a train with 200 other people, they slightly feel a bit because of just the context of the.
Oh, that's completely right. You're absolutely correct.
Interesting enough, in London, because they're fighting the coronavirus, they limited the trains in the subway or the underground, and of course it's packed now. This is because you're familiar with that mayor that says no, crimes has gone up 300%, and it's like no, it's fine. Because diversity is his strength, but knifing's through the roof.
Yeah, go figure. Yeah, that's funny you bring that up though. It's one of the first things you notice when you go to a foreign country, and especially when you get away from all the the airports and the major towns and cities. Immediately you feel just this. I wouldn't even say relief. You just feel this different change of what your body's experiencing once you get out of that.
You're out of that.
What to call it.
Compression. You're out of that compression.
Yeah, it's that rat nest of crap.
Yeah, that too. That because you're all compressed into a small, people used to have. We could fit 74 people in a Humvee, and they all try to climb in, or 28 people in a phone booth, which is okay if you're trying to break a Guinness Book World record. But if you're actually trying to get to your job on public transport, not a go. Yeah.
One of the more interesting things, this is going back in time a little bit, not so much, but definitely a thing back in the 2010s, when you had all the veterans coming back, and obviously depending on what you've done, what your job was and what you've seen, what happened to you, you'll have different levels of experience in this, but one of the most undiagnosed things that I don't think anyone's really brought up is just coming back to quote unquote civilization after being out there in the sticks, the sand and the mountains and all that. It's so freaking surreal and different when you come back, because you realize like you're sitting there every day watching for attacks and everything, and you just wind up watching people live their life as they've done for the last 1,000 years. And to quote unquote civilization in this civilized and modern, way of living. And it's just like, so many people go crazy because of that, and they turn to alcohol and drugs, and they just freaking lose their minds.
Yeah, especially like, I haven't been stalking you at all, so I can't remember if you were deployed in Afghanistan. But that country is actually referred to as the graveyard of empires, because everyone that's gone in there, everyone that goes in there gets kicked in the nuts like a donkey, and then leaves. It's like, yeah, it was a nice idea. And the weird thing is, the British were in there in the late 1800s, and now they're back again, going, what the hell are we doing here?
Yeah. That'd be, it'd be an interesting question to ask the Russians about that one.
Yes. Well, the interesting thing, like Charlie Wilson's War, which starred Tom Hanks. I'm going to make a conspiracy theorist that's listening, going to make his head explode. You've got Charlie Wilson's War, where he funded and armed the Mujahideen, I think that's how you say it, who turned into Al Qaeda. So they created freedom fighters / terrorists in the 80s, and then the Russians, the Soviets left. And then, the guys got bored and was like, I know, we'll do, yeah, go ahead.
Listen, we trained our enemies very well for the future.
Yeah, I think that's part of the plan. It's like, you need an enemy so you can justify all the high spending, which is interesting now because, $2 trillion stimulus package? Mentioning New York and Los Angeles, what are you going to do with the homeless people? Like, you should really to try and you quarantine them to, say, the LA Coliseum or something, instead of having them all roaming about. I mean, some of them actually have the Black Plague, which can be cured by, I don't know, having a shower. But hey, yeah, that's how, like, I saw that someone doing a report. There's Black Plague, and we can fix that. It's called sanitation, and you to look after the homeless people, because say someone that's got the virus walks past a homeless person, then the homeless person, without knowing it, goes to a food van because they have to survive. They give it to everyone else. It's like if you know Sherlock Holmes, he has a network of orphans back in the day, like in the 1800s, so he can find out things. But it's a complete network where that could spread the whole disease right across if it does. Now, someone who doesn't spread the disease right across, because I can't think of a better.
That's a beautiful segue.
Oh, thank you very much. Cortek, ladies and gentlemen, Cortek.
Hello,
Another Australian.
Viking, Bruce. How are you?
Hey, man. Good, man.
Doing good, Cortek.
What have I missed in the last half an hour? I guess you guys are still on COVID. Is that what we're calling it still?
We're just
The state of affairs.
Our legs,
state
really.
of affairs.
It's
just kicking
something
around and just trying to be lighthearted and be comedic about it at the same time.
Yeah, that's fair.
We're playing stickball back in the 20s. What are you doing?
Stickball.
Hey! It's my turn. I brought the stick. Don't make me add, or I take the stick home with me. I just live over there. Go ahead, Cortek.
Something I heard today was a correlation between where it's blown up big and the 5G network. Is this old news?
We sort of haven't mentioned it. There is some parts, but Iran doesn't have 5G, and that went ballistic. So I think that's 5G does have its own issues. But the conspiracy mind, which we can delve down that rabbit hole, which I find interesting, because I'm actually, because I'm observing now, I can see why people think conspiracy theorists are absolutely crazy, because they take one bit of information and they just add everything. It's like, no, the aliens, dude. And
I can comment on this.
Go ahead, yeah.
So 5G is an energy net. It's a net of frequency that keeps you and captures you if you're in that frequency band. So if you're in that, again, despair, judgment, pain and suffering, if you're lost in the karmic realms of your ambiguities of programming, then you're susceptible to this 5G net. But you can rise above it with your frequency by keeping yourself in a higher state of frequency. The 5G will not have the effect it has on other people. And also, when you're in this net, of course, the COVID-19, with its programmed its DNA to attach itself to lower frequency or lower vibratory elements of programming. So if you're in fear, yes, you will be in this net of 5G and you will be susceptible to COVID. But if you stay in your passion and stay in your higher state of being and don't buy into this. Again, it's not a pandemic. I gave an example last night. If it was a true pandemic, we would be into the millions of infection and hundreds of thousands of deaths in this amount of time. And it's just basically a viral virus. But it has been engineered. It has been engineered to attach itself. And so you just got to stay in your positive state of being here, and you'll be okay.
Yeah, I think it's they're trying to stave off a pandemic, because a classic pandemic, you could probably die in, say, 36 hours. But this one, you have to wait 2 weeks. Now, the thing is, it's not really the virus. If I got sick, I can go to the doctor and I get looked after and I go to ICU bed. If there's 3,000 people behind me, the people are going to, if they don't get, it's the medical infrastructure, which apparently they're slowly catching up. But if Trump wants to get rid of lockdown in 2.5 weeks by Easter, everything could start up again. Interesting enough as well, very quickly, Wuhan apparently has got out of lockdown because their cases are dropped. However, this is an interesting time where the second wave can come through. So, mind you, I've realized that I don't believe anything the Chinese government ever says. Go ahead, Viking.
They're led by Winnie the Pooh. What can you expect?
Does that mean the foreign minister's Piglet? Viking, please go ahead.
I lost my thought.
You look under the table?
Is it down the back of the couch?
It's all cigarette butts and ash under the table.
Push the fridge 6 inches. It sometimes rolls under there.
I sometimes go back into the
It's
same
scary
room
place.
that I was when I remembered it, and sometimes that helps too.
Oh, see, there's a woo-woo explanation for that, because you're changing realities and you're a different person when you walk through. And when you walk back into the room, it's like, pants! And then you remember. So doorways are doorways, man.
Timelines. You go from one timeline to another.
Yeah, like, the bathroom and the kitchen, which is this restaurant in your house, totally different feel. Just putting it out there.
I don't want to say, if it was a pandemic, a true pandemic, you would have in case of infection, you would have close to 80% death. This is still single digit. True like the Black Plague or the Spanish flu, it was 80%. I mean, people that contracted this. This is not a pandemic. This is. I'm barely calling it a flu here. I mean, it's really, it's so benign in its nature that this being hyped. It's being hyped up for a reason. They're hyping it up, as I said. They're using it. They're scapegoating it for all of their nefarious reasons, and also for the white hats to move in and do their deed. This is a black swan event. It's nothing more than a black swan event.
In my crazy world of thinking, this is, if we all agree here, whether or not doesn't really matter. If we believe this is engineered and deliberately planned event in some sense of the word there.
Yep.
All this is designed to do is to scare the absolute crap out of everyone, in the hopes.
And test the security. See how far they can lock things down without.
Listen, security is a
just
joke.
Using the media.
Security is a joke. It's a joke.
Seems, it just seems like just another deep state 9/11, like, no doubt about it. But how many prongs are there? What angles are they coming from? What's going on? Who knows?
Yeah. So this is a scare the crap out of everyone, shake them up in hopes that they'll just bow down and stick their heads in the sand again.
And also, because of the shutdown, it is causing repression. It's repressing people not only financially, but emotionally, spiritually, physically. I mean, this repression is causing a hell of a wake up.
I'm still vibing off what you said last week, Viking. I think I'm just trying to look for some upsides, and always things like this. There's a reasonable there's a reasonable amount of renaissance in art when people are put in these positions.
Yeah, people get bored of watching Netflix. They'll move to YouTube, eventually find us, or they want to have that 40-hour a week mentality where their sleeping patterns will change. Yeah. Someone's pattern is perfectly natural and is awake right now. We've been joined by HiJacker. Everybody, say hello to Jacker.
Hey, buddy, how are you doing?
Hey, Jacker.
Yeah, I'm hanging in there. How am I coming through?
Loud and clear.
We can barely hear you. Can you turn it up a bit?
Yeah, this is
I
going.
don't
You're
have-
you're fine. You're fine, Jacker. Bruce has been comedic.
Doing a good
Yeah,
job.
I don't have that kind of technological experience for in a computer. My
You
one
can
big
speak
mistake.
louder, however. That is something you could do. I'm just
Yeah, well, this is not loud enough.
that's the joke.
That's fine. Yeah. Notice how John got quiet then, because his sucks. Yours is fine. Go ahead, HiJacker.
Right. So now we're down to the point where Trump has woke up to where this is basically some type of economic, political.
Oh, Trump is woke now. Oh,
You woke?
he's woke. He's woke, guys.
Assassination.
Come on, let me finish the sentence.
Let him finish the sentence or paragraphs, and then you can respond. It's going to make it much more easier. Go ahead, HiJacker.
Yeah, let's not get into mockery where I'm like the Christ and I'm in a circle, everybody's smacking me. All right.
No.
Are
So,
you the Christ?
anyways,
You're the Christ? Is that what you're telling us? You are the Christ?
I am the
I'll give you-
worm. I am the wormless.
And all of a
Is it
sudden
Christ?
we're running around. How about we let Jacker gets his point out, because we're all deferring now. Yeah, I've been in therapy. I know what you're doing. I do the same thing. I'm doing it right now. See what I'm doing? HiJacker, please go ahead.
listen, Bruce, you got to be warned. I'm like one of these Indian yogis. I've got so much more knowledge than you do that I could snap your.
I'm hearing
Hold
that
back.
more and more these days on
Hold
Rev
back,
Radio.
Bruce. Hold back,
Right.
Bruce.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm
Okay.
hearing that
Keep,
more and
keep,
more.
Hold
You and Bill
hold
Grant
back.
should do a round table. We could call you the Knowledge Trust. You could build electromagnetic railguns.
yeah.
Be
Keep
the
pushing
think
me.
tank.
Go ahead. Keep
Uh-oh.
pushing me.
Push.
Yeah, what,
Okay. All right. You pushed.
Sorry, that's so funny. All right.
Okay.
finish.
Now do you want it?
Yes,
Push.
please.
This is not even what I wanted to talk about.
Come on, Bruce.
Hey, come on. All right,
let him
all right,
talk.
let him go.
Let him talk.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
Yeah. So you relent, or you want me to unload a shotgun shell on you?
Just come on.
Well,
no,
we're
Get it
just
out.
no, you go.
Get it
Yeah,
out.
hey,
Get it out.
hey,
Come
hey,
on.
hey, don't make me.
collectively
I'll turn
decided to
this.
let
I'll turn
you
this
speak.
radio station around. I'll
I'll
go
turn this
home.
bus around.
Don't make me
Yeah.
stop
You
this
go
car.
straight to your room, mister.
Now, HiJacker, please share what you were talking about, because
Right. Okay, let's go
the 20
back.
in the 20 hours that we've haven't spoken, there has been another press conference, and Trump and Pence and everybody did that. I did find it fascinating where they take a shot of all the journalists, and they're all 4 seats apart. And I think Trump's probably loving that, because instead of having a full room, there's a quarter of the people yelling at him.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and I won't ask everybody why, if the moon is full, what makes the moon full is the reflection of the sunlight, but we'll skip that. So, so what basically has happened now is where we are at in the timeline. Trump wants to tie this thing off by Easter. Now, there is some type of scripture, if I can say that, in Q that talks about there will be a run up all the way to Easter. So we got 19 days. So, other words, in 19 days.
When you say scripture, what do you mean? The blood rituals of the Hebrews, that book?
No. I'm talking about the Cuvian universe. They look at Q as an apostle. Or
Well, you said
a prophet.
scripture. Well, nobody thinks he's a prophet. That's your characterization. We think he's part of an informed intelligence operation that is keeping people abreast of what's going on, that cannot be overtly and publicly stated through the corrupt media, nor can it be overtly stated without compromising what they're doing. It's there to reassure people who are awake. I find it useful most of the time. I don't read it firsthand myself, but I love it when really competent people take Q posts apart and build on them, like the amazing Polly in Canada. It's really, you should watch a few of her videos and get off this Q ain't real bus, Jacker, because Jesus would be on the Q is real bus. I'll tell you that right now.
I only wish it was true, but what I'm talking about are people like Viking. He's actually an apostle of the Cuvian type of universe. So, But let me get to my point. So my point is that now there's a conflict between the deep state and Trump, because Trump has now set a date, which I also called that. I said he would go to the 15-day, which would be next Monday.
Okay. Are we now March? And I'm sorry to keep interrupting. I just want to make sure I'm hearing what you're saying correctly. You're saying now March 25th, 2020, there's a conflict between Trump and the deep state. Not in 2016 when he was running on a campaign to get rid of the deep state. The conflict is just starting now.
No, this is like a new conflict. What this coronavirus is it's actually, in fact, Q agrees with me, or I agree with Q, that basically this is a geopolitical, economic attempted assassination of Trump's presidency by releasing this coronavirus. You know, we went through the Russian collusion thing, we went through the impeachment hearings, and now this is like the latest one to finish Trump off.
But it's happening worldwide. It's happening worldwide. So is it supposedly to finish off all politics? I mean, that'd be great, but you know, let's
no.
What
it looks like
so
now,
internally focused for once.
Right? No. What it looks like now, because Trump today, I watched his demeanor. I watched his press conference, how long it was, what he said, and so from the difference between yesterday, when he said, "Look, we're going to end this thing soon," and of course the very next day, which is today, the markets went up 2,000 points, because you know he actually admitted that during his press conference today, saying that it's because everybody is recognizing that we're coming to an end to this thing. He actually set a date. There's pushback everywhere from the deep state of this Easter date, that he basically said, quote unquote, by Easter, I want this thing to be over, and I want the churches to be packed out, and that would be a beautiful thing. And
that's
so
also he also said that's followed by 10 days of darkness starting the 31st, right? So this is like, you know, his whole deal here is setting up a curriculum for how this is going to pan out or play out. And I want to go back to Cortek's comment that this is a worldwide takedown of the systemic banking system and the deep state. You know, every ruling body and country has a desire. You know, there is a ruling force that definitely has been subjugated, that wants its freedom. So I think there is a strong push here, and they're using this coronavirus, as I said, this black swan event is causing this whole systemic system to implode. And I just feel that you know, what's happening here, what he's setting up these timelines on these event timelines, how they play out was yet to be seen. But he does have a vision, and I believe this vision is in this in this Q doctrine. It has been strategically designed, not just in the last 2 weeks, but it's been in on the, let's say, the drawing board for about 3 years, and they're using this as an opportunity, like everyone else.
Interesting enough, from the Australian point of view, just very quickly, the Australian point of view is they're saying that this will take like the whole thing is going to be 5 to 6 months long. That's what they're saying to the public. And very quickly as well, New Zealand is going into lockdown tomorrow, I think.
Yeah, so
it's
can I point something out real quick?
Mm-hmm.
So if we take the media at face value, whether you want to believe it's 15 days or 13 days for 30 days for symptoms to appear here, how in the hell could the lockdown be released in 19 days? It doesn't make sense from any point of view. Can someone explain that to me?
Well, to me, like, just on a basic level, without thinking about it, just like the surface level, it looks like Trump may be making a mistake, because of it's 14 days, or they think that they've nipped it in the bud straight away, and this could be the possibility of why the second wave may come out of the United States.
Well, if the second wave happens, it's going to be on purpose.
Well,
okay, it's not going to happen by accident.
Yeah,
Well,
I heard the second wave was all going to be pushed by introduction to 5G, and everyone's not on the streets at the moment, so everyone needs to look out for any new big 5G towers going in. Might just be all
There are
random.
but
there are
if
no
I
big
can just
5G towers.
one sentence here. Wuhan is now out of lockdown because apparently they've gone through it. Now, if that started in November, that's 4 to 5 months. So I'm giving the thing of like, if Trump wants it in 19 days, that's today. Tomorrow he may. See, this is the other thing. Every day it changes. It seems like 5D, doesn't it, Viking? Go ahead.
To me,
Right. What? Go ahead. I haven't finished yet, but go ahead.
I just want to say that even though he might say 19 days, it's still a positive spin. I mean, the more positive spins we can put on this, the quicker it'll come to an end here.
Yeah. And also the boost of the economy. Okay, let's
Right,
allow
well, this
Jacker
is my
go.
point.
Let Jacker go because we're coming up to the break, and so Jacker, you've got about 3 minutes, and that way we'll lead up to the break, and over the break we can think about what you said.
Well, 3 minutes is a long time for a guy like me. Okay, so basically what we're talking about is we're at 10 days right now. Trump's basically said we're going to go to Easter, so that's adding another 19 days. So 15 plus, I think 10, which is actually going to be a total of 25 days. So that's when it's going to end it. But something has changed in his demeanor. And I think what's happened, he's been told that this has been a drill. And because he's changed his tune. He was sounding like yesterday he was going to end it on Monday, the 15-day plan type thing, saying, look, we flattened the curve. We're good to go. He got a lot of pushback. A lot of people bucked. And somebody told him something. I think they finally told him, look, this is a drill. But here are two important things with this. And I want to preface this first with something that's actually very scary. And I cannot explain. But does anybody know how many cell phones have gone dark in China where their accounts weren't paid and they were just dropped?
84.
84?
The country 84 out of 1.1 billion people. You're picking the number 84.
I just took the meaning of life and doubled it because it's China.
Fair enough.
Right.
Go ahead, HiJacker. We're running out.
20.
We're running. Go ahead.
21 million phones have gone dark in China. Now, if even 10% of that is because of the coronavirus, that's 2 million dead in Yuan, and that would account for the incinerators, which means the virus is really lethal, which I don't believe.
Where are you getting this? The number of cell phones?
Google it. Google Chinese cell phones go offline. Do something like that.
But how would anybody get that data, and why would it be posted on social media?
It's an Epoch Times. It's a new newspaper.
Right.
Epoch.
Yeah, I know the Epoch. I know the Epoch Times. Actually, I have a bit of respect for them. Yeah, that's not a bad source to cite at all.
Epoch Times.
I'm not trying to give you a hard time, Jacker. I'm actually glad you cited the Epoch Times there. I am a little disturbed now that you've given me your source. That is
right.
A bit
And
disturbing.
other people say, no, it's only been 14 million. Some want to say it's the migrants. They had two different phones, one for the city they worked in, one for the hometown. But then they actually looked at the cost of a cell phone, and they realized most of these immigrants, they could only afford like one cell phone. So it's very disturbing. But with that being said, here is one of the revelations. If we come to Easter and there is no mass arrest, we don't hear about people being picked up, shot, killed, military operations where the deep state is cleaned up, Q is dead. A virus called Corona killed the virus called Q. It's over.
We
Uh-oh.
okay. We're on a break. We're on a break. Everyone run.
Right on the break.
All right, write it
Stunning
down.
it by the jacket.
Stunning and brave. Yeah, stunning and brave. No, hang on. That's fighting woke people. You're listening to Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, revolution.radio. This is Planet Collingwood. I'm Monty Dean. I have been joined by many great men who I've known for decades. Well, except for John Z. He's all right. I think we're back. You're listening to Revolution Radio. This is Planet Collingwood Open Round Table. I have been joined by Bruce MacDonald, John Z, the Viking, Cortek, and HiJacker. My name is Monty Dean, and you're an audience, and you're awesome. So thank you for sticking around. It is 6 p.m. on a Wednesday here in Melbourne, Victoria. So hello from the future, Cortek. I think you're in the same time zone, aren't you? Say yes.
I am, yes.
Yes. And if you are listening in the United States, it is 3 a.m. Eternal. Yeah, it's the KLF hour in New York or the East Coast, except for Staten Island where it's 1953. Bruce, stop posting those photos. I have to work.
Okay. Sorry.
Dear listener, I'd like to point out you would thank many, many gods that this is an audio medium.
So
where do we want to go?
Let me finish my models real quick. It'll only take me about another minute.
Well, let's pick
All
up where Jacker left off, where his Justinian edict that the cult of Q was finished. Let's debate that for a moment. First of all, I don't think Q is a cult. I think it's probably the most sophisticated communications intelligence operation of the last 100 years, easily. I mean, it's absolutely remarkable what's going on with this Q feed. I think it's real. I think it's bona fide. And I think it's a lifeline into a narrative that is escaping the mainstream because they can't report on it because they're protected by the laws in the Constitution against self-incriminating. So they're not going to report on it. But I think Q is valid. You know, he may get a few things wrong because this is a war, right? You know, you plan things and, you know, some of the things you plan don't work out because, you know, it's a war. Like, hey, we're going to go from this trench to that trench. That's the plan. You get out of your trench and you come under heavy fire and you jump back into your trench. That part of the plan didn't work out. So, I mean, Q's not always right, but, I mean, he has dropped information that is just mind-boggling. Mind-boggling.
Right. I would agree with that. But what your problem is, Bruce, with Q?
Okay.
This is the problem, is that he is not. I came up with a conservative manifesto, congressional conservative councils, to organize basically each congressional district, all 435 of them, under a council concept, basically governed by 2/3 vote. He will not organize us. Notice what he's done. He says, "Don't organize, trust the plan, and here's your hope." And that's what he's done. And look what we got. Half of the 401ks are wiped out. We got a U.S. House under Democratic control. Nothing but just like impeachment hearing after impeachment hearing. I mean, come on, trust the plan. Hillary's locked up. She's in custody.
Yeah,
come on.
But there's got to be more than two options of like believe them or ignore them. I mean, I use it in a way as a news service. As to see what's
Q is dead come Easter. Easter.
Why? Why? Because he.
Why?
What?
Yeah.
If he's just if he is reporting on what's happening on the other side of the curtain, how can he die? He may get things wrong, and that's why I don't. You know.
No. This is the big roundup. This is where you take in all the pedophiles and you get the criminals and you start locking them up or you start killing them behind the scenes. No. That's what Q has said. Q has said this is the window.
He's gonna die. I'm confused.
No. He said this virus is actually going to be used to actually get 10 days of darkness, round them all up. We're going to drain the swamp.
You're confusing the crap out of me straight out this.
I see where he's going.
What Q has said.
Yeah. So, Q doesn't
Viking, you're the apostle. You tell me, are we going to be cleaned up from this mess? Didn't Q say all that by Easter? Come on.
Nobody's going to clean this up for us. We have to do it. Get that around your head.
That Q says no, trust the plan. Sit back, relax.
What he's saying. Listen to what I'm telling you. No one will save you. Save yourself.
Quick question.
Save the race.
Quick question for the entire panel. Does everyone believe Q 100% and you trust the plan? I don't. When he says trust the plan, I'm like, yeah, whatever.
Never.
Never. Yeah, so, Bruce, I don't think you're on that same. HiJacker, I know you're with us as well, where you don't trust Q's plan 100%. I don't think anyone does on the call, and so that's why we're sort of.
Wait.
Oh.
I do. I trust it 100%.
I do. I'm pretty much there too. I'm about 99%.
Yeah. And you have to
Okay, well,
understand,
great.
these
The
are
great things are
algorithms
going to
of
happen
time.
by Easter. This is going to be great.
No.
Yeah.
You said this would be a
Heard that before.
shutdown.
No, wait. We got a virus.
One
We can have an
at a time. One at
Also-
a time.
Okay, 30-second rule. 30-second rule.
One of the main
Viking, go ahead.
one of the main points that has not happened is that this virus is not mutated. It's basically burning out. It's burning out fast. I'm not sure that the Easter rule is going to happen. I think he's more or less throwing that out there. It will be amended. I don't see this really coming to, but it has to. I mean, it has to open up because of the economics. It's going to crush this whole planet if we don't find some way to negotiate. Maybe it's not a full contingent, but maybe people can then start to free themselves based on their own cognitive awareness and take things in their own hand without having to be subjugated with lockdowns. But I don't think Easter is the day that they can be immortalized in history. I think that's just a focus and a goal.
Well, that's what I've been, look back in the last 7 years, how many dates have been put forward. If you remember Drake, not the singer rapper dude, the one from the alternative world, where it's like, this will happen here, this will happen here. Where I put Q in there. However, by looking at the information that's put forward and then like the prophecy angle of it, 90%, 8%, it seems to be pre-reporting it, if that makes sense. But I'm not a Q follower and I wear T-shirts and all that type of stuff. I'm sort of with Viking where, yes, that's the end point. I don't know if Q has its own agenda or if it's piggybacking what's actually going on. And because the timeline, just from the past, where everyone, how many times the world's going to end? Go ahead, HiJacker.
You know who Q is, Jacker?
Let me jump.
You know who he is? You know who Q is? He's John the Baptist. That's who he is.
Okay. All right. Enough with the mockery. Let's talk important stuff.
No,
Relatable-
but
that was mockery.
he's actually right. He is John the Baptist, of which there's also JFK Jr. is also on the Q team.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so 3.5 years when we first heard of Q, his first post was Hillary Clinton is in custody from Europe in a flight right now. She's been taken into custody.
You don't know.
She had at one point she had an ankle bracelet. She was in custody at one point, along with McCain during that whole McCain deal. They were both in ankle bracelets.
Oh, they were all playing you. They switched
I'm
legs,
seeing a pattern
everything.
here. Hold
Well,
on,
give
I'm
me
seeing a pattern
my
here,
30
HiJacker.
seconds.
All right,
All right, when can I get my 30 seconds?
Well,
You just
try
said it.
now. Everyone, just talk at one. Are you all new? I'm just wondering. This is how it works. I talk, you talk. I
No,
talk,
they know
you
what
talk.
They know what they're
So
doing.
you just interrupted me. That just proves my point. Go ahead, HiJacker. Everyone, try and restrain yourself, or mute and just talk to the screen. HiJacker,
just
go.
30 seconds. 30 seconds. So 3.5 years ago, Hillary's in custody. You remember the 2018 elections? Q said, trust the plan. We got your back. Just go out and vote. Don't worry. We got the House. No problem. It's in our back pocket, quote unquote. And now Q is basically saying, this is when we're going to roll them up. This is a strike point. Enjoy the show. He kept saying enjoy the show, yet no arrest of nobody anywhere at all. And so now he's saying trust the plan. So yeah, I'll give him the 19th. I only hope and pray that he's right. But I'm telling you, come the 19th or come Easter, 19 days from now, nothing's going to happen. Go ahead. Q will be dead.
Also, I will
Q's
back.
gonna be dead
Yeah, but
19
also I would also put in the New World Order people that keep saying, total military. It's the Nazis are coming back. It's exactly the same thing. It's like it's not one or the other. Sorry.
It's the Germans, eh?
No, well,
So-
no. It was a political
Debatable.
party run by an Austrian. Anyway, Viking, go ahead.
So first of all, there have been no arrests that we know of. A lot of this is happening behind the scenes because, you cannot disrupt the timelines of just people in general. I mean, if they were to disclose even half of what they were doing, the American public would be catatonic or rioting on the streets. It has to be, again, a drip fed. Everything has to be drip fed according to what the American public can handle with their emotional state of fractured reality. It really is. I truly believe there's more happening here than I can see, than the eye can see, and what is really being disclosed.
Yeah. All right. So, HiJacker, if you will, I have a question for you, and if you can really truly answer this, I'll really concede. If you, as a commander, were to go on and publicly state everything you were about to do and expect it to work out 100%, would you be an effective leader? Can you explain that to me? Why would someone do that? Why would they shoot themselves in the foot to just say what's going on?
What Q is about is he's about stopping.
That's not my question. That's not
No,
my
if
question.
you're talking about a commander, what would a commander
Yes.
do?
Yes, what would a commander do?
What would a commander do? Yeah, now you got the question. A commander would organize congressional
Yes.
conservative
Would he
councils.
publicly broadcast what he's doing to everyone?
No, he would
No.
actually publicly broadcast, you people need to get organized in your congressional district, come together and form up like what the IRA, basically
Like
Sinn
what?
Féin did.
Militias? Like militias?
No,
What?
political.
What?
No, you're talking political council, not malicious.
No, because it's past political at that point.
Oh no, you need the political before you can
No,
actually
you
go
do
physical.
political
Yeah.
means crap on the battlefield.
Yeah.
No, come on. What are you
Political
talking about?
means
We don't even
crap
need
on
Hearts
the
and minds?
battlefield.
representatives anymore
John Z?
anyway.
No,
don't-
there's
you don't
no
know what
such
hearts
thing.
and
You know
minds
what
mean?
hearts and minds? Do you know what hearts and
Oh,
minds
no,
on
no,
the battlefield are? It's 2 in the chest and 1 in the head. That's all it is. That's war.
No, that's
And,
when
as
that's
an
political
outs-
is before the physical.
yeah, but the political is way past time because
That's
the
why
entire
politics
system.
is here.
Yeah,
it's
but
the way
There's
mankind is
policies.
it's
Nobody
corrupt.
follows
Hey,
them.
Hey, wait, ooh, hi. The whole system is corrupt. Even if Trump is the political savior, he's surrounded by 30%. It's
There was
90%
no way
of
out.
yeah.
May
And
I?
yes, please.
Okay, so I mean, I don't mean to toot my own horn, but I've been saying this for 3 years. When I listen to people who come on air with really optimistic narratives, and everybody's narrative has curbed the optimism a little bit right now. Viking, you used to come on and used to say, well, we're all going to 5D, it's going to be a shiny, happy world. And if you remember, like even 2 years ago, I used to say, Viking, if we get there, it's going to be over the bodies of 2/3 of humanity, okay? And then other people would have these fantastical interpretations of what Trump was going to do. Some of my Christian friends like James Arthur Yancek and people like this. And I would say the same thing to him. I said, look, did anyone really think that we were going to reset this economy? I was bringing this up a year ago on roundtables. I would say, how are they going to do this? How are they going to reset the economy? And I was the first one on the roundtables to bring up the 72-hour supply chain in grocery stores. I said there's no way to do it without calling martial law and distributing food at school gymnasiums or something like this. I would posit to this roundtable that I was right, and the coronavirus is that. However, the coronavirus is not a piece on the chessboard being moved by Trump and the Q team. It was, in fact, the deep state who released it. And what they were trying to do was they were sitting back globally and saying, okay, our American counterparts can't take care of the orange gorilla. We're going to have to step in here. And what we're going to do is we're going to recontextualize Trump's populism inside a global pandemic to make him look like a dictatorial, loser, a way to shame him. So they did it. How Trump and his team responded was, this is the act of God we've been waiting for. Let's go out and implement our part of the plan now. I do believe Tom Hanks is under arrest. I absolutely believe that. I believe other people are under arrest now. I believe the arrests are coming. And if you follow the Q narrative, he has delivered at every stage, okay? 3 years ago, when he started dropping posts, he was saying things like every other B actress, female, every other B actress in Hollywood is a human trafficker. Well, he didn't prove it out completely, but lo and behold, Navixium got busted and Allison Mack was in there from Small Town. It was an example of what he was talking about, if not the scale that we were looking for where Hollywood is completely shut down. But if you put yourself in Trump's shoes, okay, because we've grown accustomed to always believing someone else is going to do something for us. We're like sports fans who criticize and comment on whatever sport it is, but we're not actually on the field getting our bones crushed, getting tackled, or having our ligaments twisted on a wooden basketball court. We're like armchair commentators, okay? And what I'm saying is this thing is all happening, it's all real. But Trump's not going to be able to do it all. You got to be able, you got to understand that part of this is going to be chaos and it's going to be martial law.
Right. So you got your 2 minutes. Very, very well taken, Bruce.
Thank you.
And so you say we're like spectators, and that's what Q turns us into. Enjoy the show. He said about 1,000 times. Trust the plan. He said about another 1,000 times. And so no organization. He just gives us hope. Nothing about councils, bringing people together. None of that. Even Tom Hanks being arrested. Now Oprah Winfrey, she was arrested and she was raided, and she had to actually got on TV, and she goes, these internet rumors, these conspiracy people, there's nothing like that ever happened. So I will give Q the next 19 days, and I hope to God that Viking is right, that I am wrong. I mean, I would love nothing more than that, but in 19 days, if nothing happens, nobody's arrested, nobody's off the planet, then we know that Q basically was to rake off our energy, make sure that we didn't get organized. Because we all know, we got the internet now. We know who the pedophiles are. We know who all the criminals are. We know it all. We all got that information. John Z can go high. He can get his 50 caliber sniper rifle and he can have a great time. We all know this. And so now we're waiting. What is Q really going to do? And yeah, it's some kind of military operation, but it is to give us hope. It's to prevent us from getting organized, and it's to basically trust the plan. Just sit by and wait. Go ahead.
I have to bring this up, dude. I'm not really sure what the significance of this 19 days is besides Easter. Okay? You've been coming on here for a long time, setting dates about certain things, and I gotta say, most of them have not panned out in your favor. And I keep wondering where these dates are coming from and where these deadlines are coming from. What do you expect to happen in 19 days? There's only so many hours in a day to do something. What is going to happen? What do you expect to happen in these 19 days? Do you expect the entire board to be wiped clean of all the crap that we've dealt with for
how about one? Years? How about one arrest, John Z? How about one? How about Comey? Give us one.
All right.
Give us freaking one.
Okay. All right. I'll give you one. And see, you had brought up Hillary Clinton in, what was it, 2018? People are saying that she got arrested. She had ankle bracelets.
She's still in her home.
Hold on. Let me finish my point.
Remember?
Let me finish my point.
30 seconds. Go ahead.
With that said, it's obvious you don't understand how things work at that level. You ever see the movie Lord of War, where he gets taken in at the end, and he's just sitting there waiting nonchalantly to be let go, and he's telling the person across from him who's about to throw him in jail what's going to happen? Guy gets a phone call, gets a knock on the cell door. Hey, come here. Whispers in his ear, you're free to go. That's exactly how Hillary Clinton got let go. That's exactly how it happened.
And
right.
There's
That's
a meme joke going around. Yeah, and that's the meme that's like, there's actually a meme of Trump ringing Hillary and going, look, Hillary, this coronavirus has information on your arrest, and so hopefully she can take out the virus. Ooh, tough room.
So,
No, what
By the,
happened?
by the way, I wouldn't be sitting up there with a 50 cal. It'd be 308.
Yeah,
By
thank
the
you.
way, President Trump, he got that phone call. He got the phone call between yesterday and today, and he was like a whipped dog today, and he actually pushed his timeline back. But somebody told him, "Look, this is what's going on, President Trump. We didn't clue you in before, but this is a live,
That's a little
active
conjecture.
drill."
Yeah. Can we talk global? Because
No, this
I
was
mean,
this
talking
was a live
talking
drill.
about figureheads is more like talking
Give me
about
30
like
seconds. Let's do
talking
the
about.
30
Give
second
me
rule.
30 seconds. Talking about
Okay, you got
an
30
emblem
seconds.
on
Then give me
a
30 seconds.
emblem on
Oh,
a
okay.
car.
Let's go through this again. One person
Sorry, rules
talks,
of the
then
chat.
another one talks. Like, because I know it's all your first day. Go ahead, Cortek.
No, give him
Thank you.
30 seconds.
I don't
Yeah,
need
well,
30 seconds.
yeah.
Just a
If we
sentence.
stop talking, he
Okay.
can.
Okay, just
Go.
let's play the ball, not the man. So, it's gone.
You said
As you were,
figureheads.
I need to figureheads. Yeah, so getting upset at figureheads or politicians is like getting upset at the emblem on a car for making so much pollution or something like that. It's stupid. We need to start
That's
looking
not
at
important
real
stuff.
causes.
Let's get
We need to
doing
start
important
looking
stuff.
globally. So forget about your Trump said this, Trump said that conversations. Over.
Well, it's
Okay,
interesting.
my 30 seconds.
Oh,
So,
no,
my
no.
30 seconds.
I've been heard from. Yes, you've been talking for a while. May I hear from Viking first,
Okay,
and then
okay, alrighty. Somebody else, 30 seconds. Go ahead.
stop saying 30 seconds. It's like it sounds like you're getting paid.
27, 26.
Go ahead,
Okay,
Viking.
60
Listen,
seconds.
so John, these timelines are what Q has been expounding upon. Actually, today, the 7-day prep period and the 10-day lockdown, which is going to unfold starting the 31st to the 9th, and then the 9th is going to be some sort of a revelation. I'm not sure, but I just want to say that 80% of what Q is saying is a bait and switch. He's setting up the deep state to actually act upon what he is stating, and then they come in and clean and do a mop up. So you have to understand that a lot of what he's saying, they want the deep state to react, and then in that reaction, they're shooting themselves in the foot. They come in and do a mop up, and so you have to understand that there's twists and turns in every statement that Q is making, and you can't necessarily go verbatim with every single word that is being written.
No, Viking, I understand war. No, that you're right. You're actually right about the reaction. I've done that many times in political warfare. You're actually looking to provoke a reaction, and you already know.
Uh-oh. Did somebody hit HiJacker's mute button?
Well, he's muted.
I don't know what happened there.
Well, the key word there for me was political warfare. Again, politics has nothing to do once you're on a battlefield fighting. It has nothing to do. And I will state this. I hope to God we don't get there, but something bad is going to happen along the way.
Okay. HiJacker, are you there? Because you said you're
I'm
unmuted.
here.
All right, cool.
Yeah, I'm unmuted. Somebody muted me. I don't know who did it, but now we're getting down to really, really nasty tactics.
The thing is with very quickly the whole thing about trust the plan. I can see.
Wow.
Let me finish. Here's an idea. Wait till the end of the sentence.
Okay, take a minute.
I'm putting on my cranky pants, and I don't like them.
You have Jacker's permission.
30, 29, 28, 27.
Inside voice. Inside voice, Viking.
Yeah. Do you want some chunky milk?
Jack, can I go to the
Oreos?
Jack, can I take a bathroom break? Can I go to the bathroom, Jacker?
Now, if you want to be hushed now, because I'm going to mention Bill Grant's name, and so I may invoke him. We don't know. But when I would easy there, Tiger. From a spiritual point of view, we're here to observe and let things play out. However, that doesn't mean you stop doing what you're doing, which is like trust the plan. That does come across as like just sit there and let everything else unfold around you and in front of you. I think that's what Jack is tapping into, where it's trust the plan, trust the plan. It's like, well, no, you still have to do your own personal work, which could be just staying in your knitting if that's your highest passion. You still actually have to live your life, and if we can use the language, you fight, but you do it in your own ways, whereas you live a happy life. It's not because it does come across the whole trust the plan. That means you're not part of it, and you just have to wait and watch. And that's not what has to happen. It's you still have to do your own thing for yourself. You can observe what's happening in the geopolitical arena, but that doesn't mean you can be complacent about it. Over.
Right. So where I left off where the day yesterday where President Trump was saying we're going to end this thing very soon. Today he was like a whipped puppy. He was saying, okay, we got a tentative date of Easter. And so something happened between this 24-hour period where Trump, I think he got a phone call and he said, and they said to him, look, this is a drill, a real live drill in which we're actually getting ready for some type of, maybe it's a global war with China that's going to be used biological weapons, but we need the mask, we need the ventilators, we need people to learn how to, basically self-quarantine, that type of thing. But something happened to him in which he basically changed. And so what we're looking at,
you don't know that.
It's called hearsay.
Jesus Christ,
that is
Jacker.
all conjecture. That is all conjecture, dude. What are you picking that up off of your expert body language reading? Please tell me.
Oh, James, they got the worm in his ear, just like that Star Trek episode. I mean, come on.
Well, no, I mean, we know the coronavirus is a hoax. There's no dead bodies.
No.
Oh,
Yes,
There's
there
dead
is.
bodies. There's dead bodies.
Yeah,
Where?
once again, okay, let me walk you through this again. The virus by itself, if I or Bruce gets sick, we go to the doctor, it's okay. The thing is, it's very infectious, and you have 4,000 people standing behind us. It is the medical infrastructure that is behind everything. That's what makes...
People, YouTubers have gone into hospitals. There's no IC units filled up with people.
Are you
There's no
serious?
room.
All right, come down to Staten
But
Island.
there's no ambulance
I will
going out
personally
every hour
walk you in.
in New York.
HiJacker.
you just
I will
yelling
Okay, you give me a minute. You
So,
take a minute.
here's an idea. Listen to John, who works at a hospital.
I will personally walk you in, my own personal hospital. I will badge you in, and I will show you what's going on right now. It is not standard operating procedure. It is not business as usual right now.
And so you've seen beds and beds of people filled up with ventilators, right?
Not specifically ventilators, but what's going on right now is isolation. And the hospitals, frankly, especially the local ones, do not have the numbers for ICU beds, i.e. isolation. At most, they have between 3 and 20 at max. Most of them have less than 10. Period.
And if I add on to that as well, these medical professionals, if they get sick, who's going to replace them? And that will cause exponential
Where
growth.
are all these people? There's no footage. There's nothing. There's only things coming from the media. There's hysteria among the medical people. We don't even have test kits. Think about that. The South Koreans, they test 20,000 people a day. Why don't we take those
test kits? Are flu kits,
test
man.
nobody.
That's all they are. That's all they are. They're flu kits.
No, there's no test at all. There's no testing at all. It's all one big giant hoax.
And that's kind of why the second wave may come from the United States, because you're behind the 8 ball. Also, on Twitter, are you telling me that there's no one dying, and yet all these people, their parents or grandparents have died from it?
I broke through the 6 degrees of separation yesterday, and I spoke directly by chat on Facebook with a friend in Edinburgh, Scotland. She's in her 60s.
Yeah, with a friend. Talk to a friend. Okay, give us a story.
Shush.
Yeah,
where are the millions of dead people? We've had like 300
millions
of dead people. Oh my God! Come on,
there aren't millions of dead people.
Just settle down.
Take a few deep breaths.
Okay, you're killing.
Where's the ambulance? Where's the funeral columns and the weeping families?
Where's the mute?
Come on, wake up. What's wrong with you all?
We're saying, maybe, just putting that out there. That's the thing about why they're trying to stop the curve, so there won't be millions of people dying.
Yeah. So, yeah, I have spoken to someone who does have it. They're on the mend now. It's been about 2 or 3 weeks. They say it's absolutely brutal. And it just, even if you live, it just kicks the living crap out of you, man. It's like a cold on steroids or a flu on steroids.
Hey, Bruce.
And they say that they're sleeping about 20 hours a day now. This is the third week, and they say that this is she said it's necessary to recuperate our energy now. And both her and her husband have it. She doesn't have gray hair, but I know she has grandchildren, so I'm assuming she's in her 60s.
Okay,
and her name is
got a super flu, right? It's a super flu, right?
No, it's not a no. It's the coronavirus. There's a difference between this and the flu. And all of the symptoms are there, right? Like you get really phlegmy, it's hard to breathe, your lungs fill up with water. So there is something going around. I don't think you're hearing the stories from Italy. You're saying, where are all the dead bodies? Read the blog posts from Italy.
They've stopped treating, haven't they?
Okay, let's talk about Italy.
They're not, hold on. You asked the question. Now we're going to answer.
Okay, you get a minute. I'll take a minute.
You want to change the context of your point again, as you're about to be proven wrong?
Let's talk Italy. Go ahead. You go.
Okay.
You go, and I'll go.
The situation is so serious in Italy that they're not even picking up bodies. So if you live with someone who gets the coronavirus, or let's say your whole family gets it and somebody dies, like your grandmother dies, that body stays in the house. It's going to be in the house for weeks, if not months, until they have the resources to do picking up bodies and stuff like that. So you said, where's the social decay? Where's the chaos from mass death? There's an example from Italy. Any other questions?
Pretty hardcore.
Yeah, it hasn't spread in the U.S. yet, Jack.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. So wait a minute now. Now wait a minute. Talk about Italy. I mean, President Trump brought up Italy, and he talked about the numbers. And he goes, 98% of the people that die from this disease.
Trump, who cares?
You're going to give me my minute. 98% of the people that die in Italy are really old people. And a lot of people are speculating that they're dying of the flu. Do you know that 50,000 people died of the flu this flu season in the United States?
Yeah, that's 12 months, not 3 weeks.
No, that's actually 6 months. It's a 6-month season.
It still points out, like, we've only had 8 deaths here in Australia. However, Victoria, the state I live in, yesterday was 55 cases. Now it's 466 cases. You kind of can see why the people in charge, or want to be in charge, are freaking out.
Numbers? This one world government?
Yeah, but okay, that's right. Yeah, everything's a lie, so I don't exist. I'm lying right now.
If everything's a lie, why are you believing the mass media, HiJacker? Is that where you're getting your information from? Are you calling up black sites? Are you calling up agents? What's going on here?
I don't believe any of this. You got to go to people like Jason Goodman. He goes to the New York ambulance.
Who is Jason Goodman? Who is that?
He's a reporter.
Who is that?
He took
Sounds like a liar.
457 ambulances all parked. There's no like ambulances going out every hour, like they say every hour somebody's dying.
Do you want to be a first responder going into that crap and catching it? No. He's even talked to the responders, first responders, the paramedics. No, they haven't picked up anybody. They don't even know what he's talking about.
Is that his real name? Sounds like a plan.
Oh, there's lots of people like that doing it. They're going into hospitals, empty waiting rooms. None of this shit's true. And then, we got a problem with the testing kits when the South Koreans are testing 20,000 people a day. We can't get.
All right, fine. All right, okay. Let's go with it's fake. Let's try and move forward because we're not even roundabouting. The car's pulled over in the middle of the lane.
It's a flag drill.
Yeah.
Come on.
Why? Oh, sorry. I'm trying to run a radio show here. The love of spaghetti monster or something. Pick your deity, ladies and gentlemen.
Spaghetti monster.
This is great radio.
Go.
No, it's not. Because
it's not.
Yeah, 28 minutes of we sound like the Muppets on a bad day with a cold.
One of us does.
Oh yes, that's right. Bruce MacDonald's the sane voice of reality coming through.
I'm just keeping
Kermit
quiet.
the Frog. Right? The rest of us are just the extras.
Yeah. Well, actually, it is a whole show about Kermit. Now, my point is.
Let me just ask you one question. If there's hundreds of thousands of people dying. Do you really think the smartest people that mess with the markets would actually drive the Dow up 2,000 points if they thought hundreds of thousands of people are going to die? You really think they would all
Wait,
put
I can
all
answer,
that in there?
I can answer this.
Go ahead.
The people are not driving the market up. The plunge protection team got $4 trillion. And by the way, today they have $10 trillion. They're buying all the ETFs and indices across the board. Nothing to do with people or hedge funds or managers or you know the 401ks. There's nothing to do with any of that. It's the plunge protection team that's freaking out when now they have the slush fund of fake money, and they are literally propping up the market because they are in desperate times. There's nothing to do with any individual.
Okay, that's believable. Okay, go ahead.
All right, let's try this again because it's just at another, so 29 minutes instead of 28 minutes. If it is completely fake, let's play the what if game. And I would say there's three possible outcomes to this. One is New World Order kicks in. There's the freedom of humanity with the Q aspect and everyone gets arrested. Or most likely in the middle where humanity gets through all this and it's exposed all the corruption and humanity decides to get off its knees and says enough in a non-violent way. Thoughts?
Take care of yourself.
I'm for the middle one. Personally, I'm for the middle one. Yeah, we will get through this, and we will finally get through the corruption. Let's say the internet does go down in the next 19 days, for however long. People are going to stare at the walls and realize that they've been effed for the last 50 years of their life, and they're going to realize what's been going on.
Or it's going to be like that scene from Simpsons where Krusty goes down from 10 years ago and all the kids wrap their eyes and go outside. Yeah, I just love, all these things that happen that seem like they're engineered to happen there. I love the fact that there is always positive unintended outcomes out the other end. And whether it's an artistic renaissance because it gives songwriters and artists something to write about when everything was too easy, no one had any angst in their life to make art, or something, but something beautiful is going to come out of this. Over.
Yeah, well, what's going to come out of this, and they're realizing it right now, is that just like the numbers, for instance, the numbers tonight on your show are record breaking, even from last night that was record breaking. Everybody is getting on the internet. They're finding all this stuff out. So I would not be surprised if Viking is actually right, that they actually pull the internet for 10 days, because everybody is waking up to all these conspiracy theories, all of them. And the whole world.
Let's take that a step further. Let's take that a step further. Okay. So let's say everything you're saying is true. The worst case freaking outcome, the worst possible scenario happens. Do you think humanity is going to lay down and die? Yes or no?
Based on how they react.
The answer is the only answer is no.
Yeah. Actually,
because you don't want to die and I don't want to die, especially on my knees to someone. Period. That's the answer.
No, what I'm saying, John. Go ahead.
No, over. I was just saying it was a rhetorical question.
What I was going to say is that based on my life experience, the nature of human beings, how selfish we are, we will not do anything unless it interferes with our self-interest. So the answer to that question is only at the point of death or when people know that they're going to get locked up in a FEMA camp or that anarchy's here, are they going to actually react? I put out the magic bullet, the Congressional Conservative Councils, a political solution without any warfare and without any violent warfare, I should say, and nobody reacted. Nobody will do anything.
Politics trying to save the day.
Right. No, people only do what's in their self-interest directly and then they actually get involved.
No, I think
So
it's more
to your
people have no
question-
faith in politics whatsoever.
No, actually, I don't
People
anymore.
who talk politics, people who run that scam, you know?
Right. No, I would agree with you. It's one big game, and so people will not actually use the weapon of politics to prevent civil war or revolution because they're too comfortable. They've got the money coming in, they got the food. I mean, they got their lifestyle, and unless you actually,
money. Everyone is not working right now. There's no money coming in.
oh
Also,
come on,
Pete,
everybody's getting a full
no,
belly
no,
every. Come on.
No, because you're until there's lockdown, and if the internet goes down, you're gonna have a lot of bored people, and they'll most likely leave their house. And so
Everybody
if-
here
if-
in
if-
New York.
yeah, go ahead.
Everybody here, really quick. Everybody here in New York, as of last week on the weekend, they're done working, except for cops, political offices, if they're still open, which I doubt it, and supermarkets and pharmacies. That's it. That's the only people who are working right now. There is no money coming in. No money coming in here. You tell
Right,
me what's
and
going
so-
to happen.
Same thing
Right,
here
that's
in
what I'm
Australia.
saying. Right, and so what I'm saying is, do you really think we can go 19 days like this, John Z? Before people, I'm talking about the poor and the working poor, before they really start to feel it. That's why they're coming up with. That's why they're
so,
coming up with this. Go ahead.
Sorry, HiJacker. I would say yes because they're. I hate this language. Because of the coronavirus, they're being told it'll save lives, and they'll sort of suck it up. Now, if you add another 2 weeks to a month after that, maybe they'll start to get a bit. Hang on, what's going on? There's going to be a buffer. You would agree, wouldn't you, John? There's. It may go for a month or.
This isn't like Hurricane Sandy where people are stabbing each other for fucking cans of gasoline. Okay, we're not there yet.
Did he just swear?
No, I didn't.
He said copulation, everyone. But that's sort of like, because I don't see the Mad Max thing happening as long as the electricity is on. And now the thing is, if the power goes out or the internet goes out, that's just creating an army if you go down a certain path. And you want to, if the element of it is to try and control people where you're almost on house arrest, you want them distracted and occupied.
Mm-hmm.
Totally.
So this is a good time to bring up my YouTube channel. It is Wafer Thin ENT1, and this will definitely go up on the channel, and you can share it with all your friends and go, look, these people can't talk to each other one at a time. That host is terrible at his job. He should be fired. His pay should be reduced. What's half of nothing? So it's to bring it all back, we basically have to stay in the now. Don't let the fear lower your vibration and stay healthy.
Right.
However, be aware. Go ahead, HiJacker.
Yeah, right. So this is the timeline we're on. Let's go with President Trump. We got to go with him. That's all we got. We got to back him 100%.
If you're an American.
No. I mean, we got to back him worldwide. He's the only one standing between the globalists and their Kabbalah.
He seems like another patsy to me from outside the US.
I mean, I heard the bailout bill is now up to $6 trillion. So he's actually ripping the money off from the American people, the country, giving it to the deep state. But we don't know. This is my problem. Cortex, right? That's who I'm talking to.
That is vaguely familiar. Vaguely right.
Right. So Cortex. So
Cortek.
Maybe he got a phone call and he goes, "This is a drill, and we're just practicing to get the American people, the systems up. If this real global war happens and it turns out to be biological, we're going to be ready." And then President Trump says, "I don't want to go along with that. I mean, you're reckoning the economy." And then the other voice on the other line goes, "Do you really want us to release drones with like real biological weapons that kill like 20 million Americans?"
Why wouldn't they just spray it out of planes? They've been setting a geoengineering precedent for the last 10 years, 20 years, 30 years in
Well,
some
what
countries.
I'm saying is the people on the deep state on the other line basically tell President Trump, do you really want us to release these drones that can kill 20 million Americans with real bioweapons?
Is
Do you
this
want us
hearsay again, or are you making stuff up, or were you actually on the call?
No, there are real weapons out there. There are drones. What do you think President
You-
Trump's going to do? If he's blackmailed with 20 million Americans going to be killed in a real virus, you don't think
Oh
he's going
my
to go
God.
along with the program?
You're,
Your picture should just be under the word hopeless in the Oxford Dictionary. I mean, we can't even contemplate
You
these
want to say
things.
there's not viruses out there that can kill 20 million Americans, Bruce?
Yeah,
I
yes,
think
yes,
there's virus out
yes,
there,
we
yeah.
have crap that can kill the entire world 50 times over. It doesn't
There
matter.
you go.
Only have to do it once because no one's going to do it. They're not that stupid.
No, but what they can do is maybe not the whole world, but they can release a
what?
virus that's
Do
going to
what?
kill 20 million.
How do you know it's going to kill 20 million? How do you know it's not going to spread?
They got the
Mutate?
genetics. They got the
But
genetics.
how do you know it's not going to mutate? Once you release it, it's out there in the wild. Dude, everything you're saying is absolute conjecture. You're freaking blowing my mind right now.
No, why do you
True.
think President Trump flipped? Why do you think he flipped in 24
How
hours?
do you know he flipped? Do you even know what
Look
side
at
he was
his
on to
demeanor.
begin with?
Look at his
Body
demeanor.
language. Body
Look at his
language.
words.
His demeanor. Also, the
His
scowl on his
demeanor.
face. Oh, shit, we're fucked.
Maybe he's
And now he's
constipated.
Swear
Language.
again? Did he
And now
swear
he's
again?
Yes.
Go ahead. Go.
So this is
Jack,
where
you
I'm.
can't-
Go ahead. I was just going to
You
say
can't
this is why we have
just
to stay.
pretend.
Sorry, Bruce. We have to
You
stay in the
will
now.
not Deep
Oh,
power.
all right. Yeah.
You will not accept the deep sea. Wow.
we have to stay. We have to stay in the now. Oh, stop it. Stop. Yeah. You're talking to your dog, Bruce?
the dog.
Stop that. It's the dog. Beautiful
They're
dog, by
getting
the way.
dogs.
Now,
Thank you.
this is where we sort of have to be alert, aware, stay in the now, and see what happens. We can't choose what is happening because we may be slightly wrong. How's this idea? Everything that we've spoken about it may be something completely different that will happen. And what are we prepared for that?
Yeah.
I'm leaning towards maybe not from that reaction.
That's a good question.
Yes,
Good
yes,
question.
we are born ready. Over.
Yeah, so I mean, well, I know we're skeptical, and the media, and also the politicians, we have to take things with a large chunk of salt. But I mean, I've seen it in my Facebook where it's people are screaming, "It's the New World Order. The virus is fake," or people say that they're not dying from the virus; it's not warranted. Yeah, but people are still dying. Over.
Yeah, so let's give Jacker a moment to give us his thesis, okay? So he doesn't believe anything that like there's a plan in place or Q is real or any. So what is your thesis here, Jacker? We're all being done in by Zionist Jews. They're taking over the world.
Yeah, I basically believe that Zionism, Satanism, basically, these secret groups have got total control. They are of the serpent seed line. They're working together, but there's elements within them, like President Trump and like the great and mighty king of Mother Russia, Vladimir Putin, that are basically saying, why are you going to do this to the little people? Why are you going to hurt them? I think there's actually a civil war. If you want to know what I really believe, I believe there's actually a civil war among the Canaanite bloodline, which include Jews, Jesuits, blacks, Asians, the Lee family in China, all of them. I think they got these genetics in them, and they're all vying for power to see who's going to basically end up in control. And some of them actually want to get back to heaven, and they don't want to do this evil. They don't want to run child trafficking rings. Trump is one of those guys that he wants to stop it. That's the problem they have with him, is that he won't do what they want him to do. And even in this virus thing, he started out, it's fake. He tried to shut it off right from the beginning, but because of overwhelming force And because they had the deep state, the media worldwide, they got all these different countries to go along with it, like 187 or 120. What did he say today? There's 128 countries locked down.
Okay.
I think he got a phone call. I think they told them, look, you're going to go along with this drill, or we're going to give you the real thing, and we're really going to put it to you. And I think Trump, who's actually trying to actually get back to heaven, he said, well, I better mitigate this thing. I better go along with it. But Trump is actually, in the last 3.5 years, he stopped multiple wars with Iran, Syria. He tried to pull us out of Afghanistan. He tried to do the best he can, but he's captured. And so he's basically the best guy that we got on that side. He's trying to.
You've been doing this captured narrative for 1.5 years, 2 years now, right? You get into these trains of thinking, and you're constantly retooling your thesis when your predictions don't. What the hell happened to Iran, Jacker? What happened to Iran? We were supposed to be in a nuclear hot war with Iran by now.
We watched 4 or 5 times where they tried to go to war with Iran.
You said the Zionists captured them. We're going to war with Iran. You came on every night for weeks and said it until it didn't happen. Now you're retooling your captured thesis for the coronavirus. It's getting a little tired, buddy.
What blocked it? What blocked it, Bruce? Every single time. What blocked a major war with Iran?
Trump killing a major general in their army. That sounds kind of warlike.
Right,
and that was only 2 months ago.
Right, but they hit us with a whole bunch of missiles on our bases, and we didn't retaliate. I mean, come on. Think about George Bush. If George Bush had been in office, or Obama, or Clinton.
Come on. That's Cheney.
A drone. You don't think we would have gone ahead and used our tomahawks and devastated them? Trump did not do that.
Yeah. Very quickly, the virus happened to Iran has been hit by the virus. You can see the mass graves from space, from the satellite footage.
Now that might be a real bioweapon. Now what you're looking at might be a completely different strand, which they say that's a real bioweapon, and that could be the Israeli.
It doesn't have to be a lack of medical infrastructure that can't handle the
No.
Right? Yeah, no way.
No, this is killed. The thing in Iran has killed like hundreds of people. I mean, it's like thousands of people. I mean, they have dug up mass graves. 23 Iranian assemblymen, part of their parliament or their Congress, have actually died. I mean, somebody's really released something really wicked there. I mean,
you have biological proof of this? You have confirmation?
No, all the stories actually coming out of Iran talk about this.
Do they have confirmation? Have they confirmed that there's a different biological weapon on the ground?
No, somebody independently has. They said it's a different.
Who is that independent? Have they released the data?
I don't know.
Be able to independently confirm this data?
I can't think of the name, but they would be shut off from the major world media, so I wouldn't have that information.
Yeah. That's interesting. Very interesting.
But the big thing, Trump is trying to mitigate this thing. By the Easter date, he's trying to say it's going to be over with. We're going to fill up the churches. And even now he's being fought and saying, no. We want this thing to go on for a couple of months until the middle class, and basically the white middle class of America is wiped out, and there's nothing left but corporations and oligarchs. That's what they want. And Trump, he's looking at his presidency and goes, you know what? I'm not going to be the guy at the end of the day where there's 500 corporations running the United States, no independent small businesses, no middle class. Everybody is either a serf or part of the oligarchy. And he sees that. And that's why he's trying to shut it off now with this Easter date. And they're even fighting him over that. So Uh, go ahead.